Why do middle-aged and elderly people have marital crises, and how to resolve them? Marital crisis is something almost every middle-aged couple will encounter. It is normal for people to experience marital crisis in middle age, which is caused by many reasons. When people reach middle age, the pressure increases and the focus of life shifts. Naturally, they no longer pay as much attention to their partner's emotions as they did in the past. When the communication between the two parties becomes less and less, the hearts will become alienated, and it is natural for a marriage crisis to occur. Crisis occurs because of extramarital affairs and because life is too ordinary. Many middle-aged and elderly couples will say that any relationship they have has been lost due to quarrels. In fact, quarreling can be regarded as a kind of emotional catharsis, which can relieve the suppressed emotions of both parties. The party that compromises should receive psychological compensation in other aspects of life, such as receiving affirmation, praise, etc. In quarrels, it is better to learn to master coping mechanisms, compromise, agreement, and taking turns to take charge. However, it is emphasized that long-term unilateral compromise is not conducive to the maintenance of the relationship between husband and wife, because it will affect one party's emotions for a long time. Negative impact. Therefore, we must learn to apologize to each other, regardless of gender. When most couples quarrel, they always blame each other for exacerbating the conflict, and try to find the right and wrong of marital problems to resolve and make up for them. In fact, according to marriage experts, this search for right and wrong is not only futile, but will also amplify the conflicts in marriage. There is no right or wrong in marriage. Middle-aged and elderly women should have self-respect, self-love, pay attention to self-care, and improve their self-cultivation. Middle-aged and elderly men are the backbone of the family. They should not let down the expectations of the whole family and bravely shoulder their responsibilities. If one spouse is found to be behaving abnormally, the other spouse should find out the cause as soon as possible and adopt persuasive and gentle methods to deal with conflicts and problems in the bud. Treat marriage with a normal mind. Treat marriage with a normal heart. Don't take it too seriously, but don't take it too lightly. Under normal circumstances, middle-aged and elderly couples should not divorce if they can avoid it. Husband and wife should try to adapt to each other rather than forcefully modify each other. When you are emotionally impulsive, it may be more effective to adopt a cold approach and then communicate after reflection. In fact, couples should stick together when they are in trouble. Remember, giving up does not really solve the problem. Only by facing the problem head-on can you be a true warrior. In fact, every couple who wants to divorce will have certain signs before the divorce. However, there will always be one party in some couples who ignores these small details. In fact, the essential problem in marriage is that the husband and wife do not communicate enough, resulting in a lack of understanding of each other's thoughts. Being able to sit down and have frequent, in-depth communication will allow two people to understand each other's needs, get out of the marital crisis, and make the marriage go further. Reasons for marriage crisis in middle-aged and elderly people. 1. Incompatible personalities. Most middle-aged and elderly couples retire at home. Compared with young adults, couples spend more time together. Some old couples even live face-to-face from morning to night, spending more time together. Have a deeper understanding of each other, and conflicts and frictions are inevitable. For example, some old people like to be quiet, but their wives have a restless temper. They like to sing, dance, and have lively gatherings with old friends. If the two parties cannot reconcile, there will often be conflicts. There are some bumps and bruises. Over time, small conflicts turn into big ones. When trivial matters accumulate to a certain extent, a marital crisis will erupt. 2. Life is dull, and marriage is more practical and longer than love. Some people say that the love between husband and wife will eventually fade, and it will evolve from beautiful and romantic love to a flesh and blood family relationship. After middle-aged and elderly couples have lived together for decades, their love life can easily enter a state of exhaustion and turn into thick and hard lines in their daily life. There is no freshness, no romance, no passion. After living together for a long time, we often get used to this dullness, and over time, we gradually develop a sense of indifference towards our wife. Even if two people hold hands, it's like the left hand holding the right hand. Many people can't stand this kind of mediocrity and feel that it would be a pity if they spend their later years like water and water. Therefore, some people will choose to end this dull marriage and find another life for themselves. 3. Children's issues. Children's education, marriage, and work are top priorities for parents. On these matters, husband and wife will have some differences of opinion. If these differences cannot be reconciled, well, they will become more and more serious. It becomes more and more intense and becomes a knot in the heart, eventually affecting or even destroying the relationship between husband and wife. 4. Extramarital affairs. After many years of married life, old couples may feel numb towards each other, with no ups and downs and no waves. In this case, if a third party who suits their needs appears, some people, they will involuntarily fall into it, looking for new excitement and emotion from extramarital affairs, and the distance between them and their wives and families will become farther and farther. Extramarital affairs are a great harm and blow to one's spouse, and they are also a very important reason why marriages of many years end. 5. Financial burden. When middle-aged and elderly people get older, their income will be greatly reduced. After retirement, they will lose their original salary income. The financial resources are reduced, but the burden is not necessarily reduced. Children need support to start a family and start a business. The old couple themselves, there is no shortage of money for life, as well as for serious and minor physical illnesses. Financial stress and embarrassment will directly affect the quality of life and psychological emotions of middle-aged and elderly couples. Both parties will inevitably struggle with how to spend money, how to save money, where to spend and where not to spend. These issues often lead to quarrels and divisions, and even endanger the marriage. The family's financial situation should ensure that they live within their means and use it rationally. In fact, this is not a question of more money and less money, but mainly a question of attitude towards money and how to arrange it. Once an old couple gets entangled over money issues, their relationship will inevitably be affected, and the further development of the relationship between husband and wife will be out of the question. 6. Lack of sex life. Sex is a very important part of marriage, even for middle-aged and elderly people. Sex is a measure of modern life. No matter how you avoid it, whether your sexual life is harmonious will definitely affect other aspects of your life. If marriage is the mutual surrender of body and soul, then it can be said that physiological needs are the most basic needs in marriage, and physical happiness is also the most fundamental happiness. If these are lost, the happiness of marriage will be greatly compromised. Many couples' emotional discord is actually caused by this, but emotional discord is more polite and easy to accept than sexual discord. In their later years, many old couples no longer pay as much attention to their sexual well-being as they did when they were young adults, either due to age and health, or due to the influence of traditional concepts. Some people even suppress their own needs. If this situation lasts for a long time, there will be estrangement and distance between husband and wife, and they will become depressed and difficult to resolve mentally. This is obviously not conducive to married life. How to resolve the marriage crisis in middle-aged and elderly people. 1. How to vent your emotions. Many middle-aged and elderly couples report that their relationships have been lost due to quarrels. In fact, quarreling can be regarded as a kind of emotional catharsis, which can relieve the suppressed emotions of both parties. The party that compromises should receive psychological compensation in other aspects of life, such as receiving affirmation, praise, etc. In quarrels, it is better to learn to master coping mechanisms, compromise, agreement, and taking turns to take charge. However, it is emphasized that long-term unilateral compromise is not conducive to the maintenance of the relationship between husband and wife, because it will affect one party's emotions for a long time. Negative impact. Therefore, we must learn to apologize to each other, regardless of gender. 2. How to communicate. Middle-aged and elderly women should have self-respect, self-love, pay attention to self-care and improve their self-cultivation. Middle-aged and elderly men are the backbone of the family. They should not let down the expectations of the whole family and bravely shoulder their responsibilities. When one spouse's life patterns or behavior are abnormal, the other spouse should find out the reasons as soon as possible and use persuasion and gentle methods to deal with conflicts and problems in the bud. 3. Treat marriage with a normal heart. Bofrey Nix said, "Marriage is a book. The first chapter of the book is beautiful poetry, and the rest is plain prose. Treat marriage with a normal heart. Don't take marriage too seriously, but don't take it too lightly either. Under normal circumstances, middle-aged and elderly couples should not divorce if they can avoid it. Husband and wife should try to adapt to each other rather than forcefully modify each other. When you are emotionally impulsive, it may be more effective to adopt a cold approach and then communicate after reflection. Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.